On the Hidden Truth blog spot, it states, the entwined serpent, which gave birth to the symbol of medical profession, the caduceus, later became in Greek mythology the staff of Hermes, the messenger of gods. The two serpents in a double helix around a central rod are known in yogic terms as Ada, related to the moon, the female or negative polarity, magnetic nature, and Pingala, related to the sun, the male or positive polarity, electrical in nature. They represent two of the major nadis through which polarized bioenergy, which is life force, kundalini, or serpent force, is normally conducted through the biophysical system. The seven chakras, which are the energy forces, energy levels, or energy vertex center, are interconnected, each chakra being responsible for the distribution of life energy received from the environment via the energy body or causal body to a respective organ of the endocrine system. This says a lot, but the two things I want to pull out here is sun and moon. In this statement by the Hidden Truth blog spot, we see the moon and the sun mentioned. And earlier we saw sun worship was abomination to God in Ezekiel 8. But here I'm going to connect the caduceus staff to ancient Babylon, and at the same time we're connecting Kundalini Yoga to this as well, to ancient Babylon as well. When you look up sun worship, you will find that Nimrod, who is the grandson of Noah and described as a great hunter in Genesis 10:9, is the one people are worshiping when they worship the sun. Nimrod means, let us revolt, and his name relates to the word Marad, which means rebel or rebel. Nimrod was the king of Babylon, which was in the land of Shinar, and the people of Babylon attempted to build a temple, which is called the Tower of Babel, to heaven, so that the people could build a name for themselves. But in Genesis 1 through 9, it tells us that God confused their language and scattered them throughout the land. It's also said that Nimrod used fire and battle to put fear in the hearts of his enemies, and that is what made him to become the sun god. So when the people were scattered all over the land, they probably took their own style of sun worship to the area they went to, and started up their own form of sun worship. The story is more in depth than that, but I'm just trying to connect the caduceus to ancient Babylon pagan worship. The moon is connected to a lady by the name of Semiramis, who is supposed to be the wife of Nimrod and the mother of Tammuz, and we'll get to Tammuz later. Semiramis is worshipped as the mother god and the fertility goddess, and it's said that because she had to be extremely fertile to give birth to all pagan incarnated gods that represented Nimrod, that's why she's the mother of God and the fertility goddess. Where Nimrod is the sun god, Semiramis is the moon goddess, and she's worshipped all throughout the world in different titles. And these titles are associated with Nimrod's worship, in addition to a lot of titles that he has himself. And in the chart here, we can see the different titles that Nimrod, Tammuz, and Semiramis have. The Israelites, and we see this in the Bible, the Israelites called him Baal, Tammuz, and Semiramis was Ashereth. The Phoenicians was El, Bacchus, and Astarte. And then the list goes on. We have Zeus here in Greek. And then we have Hercules. And then another name, we have Cybele and Diana. So these are just a few of the thousands of names that Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz hold throughout the world today. But what we have to realize is that this is nothing more than pagan worship. And when we see the mother and child, like we see here with Semiramis and Tammuz by the goddess Isis and Horus. They are the same god, baby god, and goddesses. And also in the Roman Catholic Church, that's not really Mary and the baby Jesus that's being worshipped. That's really the goddess Astarte, who is also Semiramis, who's also the wife of Nimrod, the queen of Babylon. And the baby Jesus is no more, is only Tammuz. And Tammuz is mentioned in the Bible. When we go to Ezekiel 8:13 through 14, it says, He also said unto me, who is Ezekiel, turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see great abomination that they do. Verse 14, Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was towards the north, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. And at this time the women of Judah lamented Tammuz on the 5th day of the 6th month. They worshipped Tammuz. The worship of Tammuz was one of the many fertility cults in ancient Near East that had several local variations. And the women in Ezekiel 8 were worshiping the Assyrian deity. And if you keep reading, you'll find that in verse 16, in that same chapter that we talked about earlier, is where the women were worshiping Nimrod when they was facing the east, worshiping the sun in the east. So we see that with the moon and sun symbolism in the caduceus, we can link into pagan worship coming from ancient Babylon. And with the snakes coiled around the staff of the caduceus, we link it to Kundalini yoga. And we also link in Kundalini yoga to ancient Babylon worship. There is no doubt that this symbol was and still a part of pagan worship and rituals today. But I wanted to tie it to one more link that will show who is behind all of these false gods and all of these false worships and all of these sacrifices to gods and goddesses that are still worshipped today throughout the world.